Hello everybody, welcome to an edition of Koopafantasy. I am of course Koopafantasy, and this is my Week 10 Sit 'em starting video for the 2012-2013 NFL season. You can find my blog online at Koopafantasy.com if you just want to read it. If you want to follow me on Twitter, ask me questions. I'm very active on there. It's @Blackie_Mike. And also like, subscribe to my videos. Alright guys, let's get right into it. Like I said, my Week 10 Sit 'em starting video. This is the 2012-2013 season. And at quarterback, I got Phillip Rivers versus Tampa Bay. But Rivers only has one 3-touchdown game this season, so he's certainly due for another. And without the super talented Vincent Jackson, it seems like he's really struggling to kind of have those big games he had in the last few seasons. But he gets the Bucs this week, who are much better against the run than they are against the passing game. At least they have been so far this season. I've pretty much given up on Meacham, but I think Rivers could have a 3-touchdown game by hitting up Floyd, Gates, and his running backs. Ronnie Brown's been great out of the backfield, and Ryan Matthews is still a pretty explosive player when given the chance. So I think we can see one of Phillip Rivers' better games this week against Tampa Bay. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick, this is a very up and down kind of thing. He could have a huge game against New England. He could have a 4-pick game. But then again, he could have a 4-pick game where he still throws for 350 and 3 touchdowns. So I think if you're needing a QB start this week, because you're like Aaron Rodgers perhaps is on bye, look for Ryan Fitzpatrick for sure. And if he's already gone and you're really desperate for a quarterback, look for Ryan Tannehill. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan myself, and he's actually played pretty good this season. I am a bit biased because he hasn't had I think he's only had one multi-touchdown game this season, and I don't expect him to throw like 3 touchdowns this week or anything like that. But if you're looking for 250 yards, hopefully a second touchdown, Ryan Tannehill is probably your guy, and he might even throw his first 3-touchdown game. You never know. He's going against Tennessee, and they've been terrible at having 30 touchdowns thrown against him so far this year. And then for running backs, Andre Brown versus Cincinnati. Brown already has 6 touchdowns on the year in comparison to Bradshaw's 4. He doesn't get a whole lot of the work between the 20-yard lines, but he always seems to be getting the ball lately on the goal line. So if you are looking for 6, 7, 8, 9 points, look for Andre Brown as like a flex play this week. So he's looking like he might get a goal line score against Cincinnati. And then Vic Ballard versus Jacksonville. I don't think we're going to have Donald Brown available this week once again. So if you were quick to drop Ballard, you might want to rethink that and get him back in the lineup. He's got a great matchup versus Jacksonville. This game is actually tonight. Hopefully this video is posted by then. You'll actually have time to actually make this change or get him in there, because I'm thinking you might see 100 yards, hopefully a touchdown from Vic Ballard this week. And then Marcel Reese for Baltimore. I wrote this article about 2 days ago. I'm just making the video now, and a slight update is that Taiwan Jones is rumored to actually might get some work. I do believe Marcel Reese is actually going to still be a pretty good play, pretty much as a flex. I was hoping he might give you RB2 value, but it looks like he might be more of a flex play this week if Taiwan Jones steals some of his carries. But Marcel Reese is a very multi-talented person. He can catch the ball, he can run, he can do it on the goal line. So I think he still has pretty good value this week and a pretty good matchup versus Baltimore, who's really struggling against the run. And then Brandon Lloyd versus Buffalo. Brandon Lloyd's kind of a Deshaun Jackson this year. He has terrible games and he has great games. He's coming off a 2-catch, 2-touchdown game. And I think Buffalo is a team he can get an easy touchdown against as well. Buffalo's got a pretty weak defense. And I'm pretty sure Brandon Lloyd's got the talent to at least exploit them once for a huge play. Hopefully it'll be a touchdown. And then Titus Young versus Minnesota. I was pretty accurate in predicting and telling you to sit him, or suggesting you sit him last week. I got some flack for that, but it ended up working out. He only had 2 catches for 20 yards. But I would put him right back in my lineup this week against Minnesota. Minnesota has been terrible against wide receiver 2s. Calvin Johnson is always going to get his, but Titus Young is pretty sure he's going to have a good game. I'm looking for 80 yards and a touchdown at least from Titus Young. And then Antonio Gates, a couple of tight ends. Antonio Gates versus Tampa Bay. I have Phillip Rivers having hopefully another 3-touchdown game. And if he does so, I'm thinking Antonio Gates is got to be the guy to help him do it, hopefully with 1 or 2 of those touchdowns, maybe even a 100-yard game finally for this season. And then if you're really hurting for a tight end, don't overlook Anthony Fasano versus Tennessee. Tennessee's allowed 20 passing touchdowns. A lot of those are to tight ends. The dream matchup for tight ends this year. You might remember Dante Rosario had a 3-touchdown game. So if you're looking for someone, look for Anthony Fasano. I think he already has actually 3 touchdowns this year. He always seems to be a sleeper. And if you're, Ryan Tannehill, obviously I said, has a good matchup, similar to Antonio Gates and Phillip Rivers. So there's a couple quarterbacks with good matchups and the tight ends to match. So look for Gates and Anthony Fasano. And then let's get down to the sit list to get this video over with. Michael Vick versus Dallas. Despite all the crap that Vick is taking in the media, he's put up pretty solid fantasy numbers. Even his bad weeks seem to be like 17, 18 points or so, 15 at the worst. So he's very, very capable of putting up another 18 or so this week against the Cowboys, but he's also very capable of throwing a few interceptions, giving up some fumbles, and getting you 12 points. So that's what I'm kind of thinking might happen this week against Dallas. And then Matt Schaub, who had a pretty good week last week with 250 and 2 touchdowns, I don't think he does that this week against the Bears. The Bears have played some pretty slack opponents. I don't think they've only played one team above 500, and Houston has obviously only had one loss. But I still think this is going to be a game with a lot of running back action. Forte and Aaron Foster, a lot of good defense, and probably a pretty low scoring game. Not expecting a whole lot from Matt Schaub. And then I would suggest I was considering Ryan Matthews versus Tampa Bay. Ronnie Brown is stealing all his work out of the backfield that was getting used to kind of save him his value, especially in PPR leagues. So if he's not going to be rushing for a whole lot of yards, not scoring touchdowns, and Ronnie Brown's going to be stealing his catches, I'm not looking to start Ryan Matthews against Tampa Bay, who's one of the better teams against the run this year. And then Matt Forte, who I mentioned earlier, against Houston. I think he's going to get quite a few touches unless they go down to Houston, which I don't really see happening. But if so, that really is going to hurt him. And even if he's in the game with 20 carries, I don't think he's going to be able to do a whole lot with them. Houston is yet to allow a running back to score a touchdown and via their legs. They have done so in the air, I believe. But if you're looking for Matt Forte to rush a touchdown, it's not very likely. It's a really tough matchup. He is a stud. I understand if you play him, no complaints there. But don't be surprised if he gives you kind of a dud performance. And then Felix Jones versus Philadelphia. Philadelphia is actually pretty good against the run this year. And Felix Jones is not a guy I trust, even if he's getting the full workload. And I'm pretty sure DeMarco Murray's out again this week. But I think he's not going to give you anything more than 6 to 9 points, somewhere in that range. And then for wide receivers, Torrey Smith versus Oakland. I don't really know why I have this guy on here. I keep rethinking this. Like, Raiders have allowed 14 passing touchdowns, a pretty good number. But something in my gut is just telling me that it's going to be Ray Rice and possibly some Anquan Bolden. I think Torrey Smith is going to have around 4 catches, and it could be for 104 yards and a touchdown. But my gut tells me it's going to be 4 catches for just 54 yards or something more in that range. And then Sidney Rice versus New York Jets. I think the Seahawks are going to run over the Jets. You're going to see a ton of Marshawn Lynch. Russell Wilson can use his legs as well. I just think that Sidney Rice's opportunities are going to be very limited, and he's not really going to be able to catch a touchdown, and he could have Cromartie covering him, and Cromartie's having a pretty good year covering number 1 wide receivers. And then the last guy to sit is Coby Fleener versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville, as bad as they are yet to allow a tight end to score a touchdown against them. So if this video is up before the game tonight and you have Fleener starting, you might want to make a quick change and get someone else in there with a better matchup. Alright guys, that is the end of my Week 10 Sim Starting video for the that's the end of my Week 10 Sim Starting video for the 2012-2013 fantasy football season. I am Koopafantasy. Follow my blog online, Koopafantasy.com. Follow me on Twitter if you ever want to ask me questions. I'm very active on there, @Blackie_Mike. And finally, like and subscribe to my videos. Leave comments down below. Be gentle, please. Appreciate it, guys. Koopafantasy out. Peace.